All right, welcome to 2.7. We're going to be solving equations that have absolute value symbols in them in Unit 2.7 or Lesson 2.7. All right, so let's remind ourselves what absolute value means. Right, the absolute value of a number is its positive value, right? So the absolute value of 27 is 27, and you don't put the symbols on the answer, right? Right? If it's positive, it stays positive. If it's negative, it switches to positive. 0 stays 0. So we're evaluating these expressions. So the absolute value, as you say, that is the absolute value of x, for those who've forgotten this from 6th grade. The absolute value of -4 there, because x is -4, is 4. Now, absolute values, if you didn't do this in 6th grade, are just like parentheses. So you do inside there first. So you do -4 plus 9 and get the 5. Then you do the absolute value of 5 is 5. All right, please know that. So this is the absolute value of positive 5. It stays 5. This, you're going to do the 2x. So x is 5. So we're going to do what's inside the absolute value sign symbols, just like you would do inside parentheses. So 2 times 5, multiplication before subtraction. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 12 is -2. So it's the absolute value of -2 is 2. Now, what we're going to be doing today is doing that sort of thing backwards. So we're going to figure out x from an equation. So it's going to look like that. And it turns out that working backwards, absolute value equations typically, not always, but almost always, have two solutions. Remember I told you, equations don't always have one solution. We learned they could have infinite solutions. We learned they could have no solution. These will typically have two. We will go over exceptions as well. So most absolute value equations have two solutions that make the statement true. So let's see this. So blank in there equals 5. So what could go in there to make it true? Well, hopefully everyone's saying 5. So x could be 5. What else could go in there to make that equation true? Well, hopefully some of you are saying, well, -5 could also go in there, right? And since there are two values that could go in there, that means there are two solutions, and you can write them in either order. We put a comma between them. But there are two solutions to these absolute value equations. In this case, 5 and -5, because the absolute value of 5 is 5, and the absolute value of -5 is 5. So try that. Right? So x, it could be positive 132. It also could be negative 132. So now, what if we make the thing more complicated? So blank equals 24, right? So whatever's in this blank, if it equals 24, it'll be a solution. So whatever's in there, in this case 3x equals 24, that will be how we find one of the solutions. But we just realized that whatever's in there equals -24 will also make this true. So there are two solutions. And so this is what you're typically going to do. You're going to do it once for positive 24, and then you do it once for -24. So this is called the positive solution, and this is called the negative solution, all right? And still have work to do, right? We have to divide both sides by 3 here. It turns out if you put positive 8 there, it will make it true. 3 times 8 is 24. Absolute value of 24 is 24. We divide both sides by 3 here. We get x equals -8. So both 8 and -8 make this true. Now, the two solutions, these are opposites, right? 8 and -8. The two solutions are not always opposites. Please, I get that on the test all the time. The person is lazy, they find the 8, they assume the other answer is -8. That's not always true, and we will show you that. But in this case, they are opposites. In fact, here it is. All right, so what if that inside there equals 7, it will make it true. If that inside there equals -7, it will also make it true. Those are the two solutions we have to find. So this one, you add 4 to both sides. And turns out if x is 11, it will make this equation true. Add 4 to both sides. but it'll also make it true if x equals -3. Let's put both of them in there just to show you that. So 11 minus 4 is 7. Absolute value of 7 equals 7. If I put -3 in there, not as obvious, -3 minus 4 equals 7. Well, -3 minus 4 is -7. Absolute value of -7 equals 7. Yeah. So there are two solutions. You can write them in either order, and they are not always opposites. Sometimes they are. All right, so you solve this, right, twice. You solve it for positive 12. So every homework problem is going to have two solutions. All right, you are going to be solving it twice. Let's put it that way. I shouldn't have done it that way. Right? And it turns out you end up in both cases doing exactly the same work. It's just you get different answers. So this side we get 2x equals 20. Here we get 2x equals -4. Divide both sides by 2. You don't have to do them both at the same time like me. But one of the solutions is 10 and the other solution is -2. And so you'd write 10 comma -2 in either order. Now, I said most of the time there's two solutions, right? If it equals 0, there's only one number that's going to make that true. And so there's one solution here, x equals 0. So let's try it. This equals 0. So you just solve it once. The answer to this one is not 0, right? The answer here is -4, right? -4 in there will make that true. In this case, it's +8 that will make it true. Now, when you do your homework tonight, there will some people here who will think that you can answer that because you're churning along, doing it twice, but that has no solution. Think about why that has no solution. Because it's saying it equals a negative number. Right? An absolute value always equals a positive number or a 0. It never equals a negative number. But on the homework, you can see yourself cranking out and going x equals 7, x equals -7. No. All right? That's not true. So this number has to be great, cannot be a negative number out there. It has to be 0 or positive. All right? So now, x minus 3 equals -5, and right, x minus 3 equals +5, you will get answers here. All right, you will get answers, but there's no way this can come out of here and be -5. So please don't do that. All right, there is no solution to either of these as soon as you see a negative number equaling an absolute value. Okay, so this equals a positive there, and so all of that big mess, right? If that whole mess equals 7, I didn't leave myself enough room. If that whole mess equals 7, it will be true. And if that whole mess equals -7, it will be true. So let's solve it twice. So we have 2x minus 10 plus 3 equals 7. 2x minus 7 equals 7. Add 7 to both sides. 2x equals 14. Divide by 2. So one of the solutions turns out to be 7. All right, that's interesting. Then over here we get 2x minus 10 plus 3 equals -7. 2x minus 7 equals -7. We add 7 to both sides. We get 2x equals 0. Is that right? We're adding 7 to both sides. Yeah. Divide both sides by 2. The other solution is x equals 0, and that is a solution. If x equals, that's not true. I've messed up. 2x minus, no, it is. Okay. Yes, it is. If x equals 0 or 7, that will be true. Two solutions. All right, are you going to start doing that? Hopefully not. What? That's a negative number. No solution. All right, don't waste your time. This has one solution. So this one had one solution, this one had no solution, this one had two solutions. So here's our practice.